Alright, so hello everyone, and welcome to the 27th or maybe 28th later on stream of Project 1000. So today's stream is commemorating the 1000 year anniversary of the passing of Bolesław I the Brave, also known as the Great, or Chrobry in Poland. Before I continue, I'm just going to check the audio. 7 for maybe. Alright, I think it's good enough. So today we're going to do a couple. Oh, and in lesser state extent is also commemorating the 329 year anniversary of the death of John I Sobieski and the 524 year anniversary of the death of John I Albert, since funnily enough 3 Polish kings died on the same date. Not sure if that's basically just the chroniclers doing it so in order to make the similarities, or if that actually happened. But if it did, that is really one of quite a large coincidence. Since two rulers sharing the same date of the same death date is already rare enough, but three and of the same state, that's, I'm not sure what the chances of that would be, but probably in the low decimal points. But that's enough of me yapping, so let's get to the first part of the stream. Since I wasn't yet able to tell a bit about the rules of the previous two during previous streams, I'm going to take this like the first 20 minutes of the stream in order to brief over the rules. So starting, let's maybe work our way up, starting from John I Albert. So he was the King of Poland from 1492 to 1501, and the Duke of Głogów from 1491 to 1498. I'm also going to quickly open a chat on my phone, so I know if anything is happening in chat. This is just going to take a second. Alright, and that's done. There we go. So he was the first son of Casimir IV Jagiellon, after both Władysław Jagiellon, who would later become king of both Bohemia and Hungary, and Saint Casimir. He was educated in the court. Oh, I think something cut out here, since this was supposed to say chronicler and alright, I'll just quickly fix this since that was an accidental mistake. Alright, so he was educated both by the famous chronicler Jan Długosz, one of the three most famous ones in Polish history, along with Gallus Anonymus and Vincent Kadłubek, as well as the Italian humanist Filippo Callimachus. After finishing his education in 1474, he started accompanying Casimir IV to Seims and trips throughout the realm. I also think he was originally the planned candidate to succeed Casimir in Lithuania before Saint Casimir passed away. In 1484. He later became the vice-regnant of Polish Ruthenia, or Halecia Volhynia, between 1486 and 1490, defending against the Tatar Late at the Battle of Kobystrzyń, and he also helped organize the later defense for the southern border, known as Obrona Potoczna, or General of Defense in English, which was a hired task force tasked in defending the southern border against raids. Later, following the death of the Hungarian king Matthias Corvinus in 1490, both Władysław and John vied for the throne of Hungary. Ultimately, Władysław won out to being a more agreeable ruler and not so hot-headed and unpredictable. And after some fighting, including the Battle of... Wait, I have to remind myself how the city was called in English. And the Battle of Košice, Władysław won out, and John was offered the duchies of Głogów, Oleśnica, and Opawa, the last one being in modern-day Czech Silesia. However, he would soon go back on this arrangement, even despite discouragement from Casimir IV himself, and would launch an invasion with a force of 4,000 strong, and faced off with an 18,000 army at the Battle of Prešov, where he did have some early successes, notably forcing the right flank to retreat. However, would ultimately be overwhelmed by the sheer numbers. He would also fall into captivity following the capture of Prešov. However, Władysław would still free him from imprisonment and still give him the Duchy of Głogów. And a few months later, on June 7, 1492, which also coincidentally was 10 days ago, Casimir IV Jagiellon passed away, splitting the Polish-Lithuanian Union once again, leaving Alexander as his heir in Lithuania, and suggesting John Albert to the Polish nobility, since Jagiellonian Poland wasn't exactly a hereditary monarchy, but it still wasn't full-on elective monarchy yet. But the nobility did elect rulers, with several vying for the position, such as Władysław Jagiellon again, although he didn't participate although he didn't try too hard on gaining the throne, as well as some dukes in Mazovia, since they were from the old Piast dynasty, and quite a bit of, and a part of the nobility even supported Alexander to become the king, since that would retain the Polish-Lithuanian Union. Although he although he himself didn't support it, and threw his lot for John Albert, only which only further strengthened his claim, and he was ultimately elected. So in his earlier reign, he was able to buy the Duchy of Zator in Silesia. The region lies right outside of Lesser Poland, and integrate the Duchy of Płock in Mazovia. Płock was even the capital of Mazovia at the time, following the death of its last duke, Janusz II, in 1495. The same Janusz II also tried to be elected in 1492. And in 1496 he issued the Statutes of Piotrków, which freed the nobility from paying customs, as well as placed further restriction on the peasants, limiting their movement and preventing the bourgeoisie from owning land or holding political offices. And this was mostly done not only to appease the nobility, but also to prepare for for a campaign against the Ottomans, which was also supposed to depose Stephen I the Great and replace him with John's younger brother Sigismund, also today known as Sigismund the Old. He gathered an army of around 80,000, 40,000 soldiers and about 40,000 servants, and entered Moldavia in the summer of 1497. It was then that Stephen I decided to switch to the Ottoman side, which resulted in the Polish army turning towards Suceava, starting the siege on September 24th. The Poles besieged the city for 3 weeks. However, they were due to constant harassment and the strength of the fortifications, they weren't able to capture it. This also combined with Hungarian pressure, since Stephen I against made John start to retreat. And while he was returning through Bukovina in the Kosmin forest, he was ambushed by a Moldavian army. The army was able to defend from both the front and the rear, with him even attacking from the army from the side and being able to break out. But still, the Polish army lost about 5,000 troops and 6,000 servants from that engagement alone, and many more from all of the skirmishes and harassment. And today, John the First Albert is mostly known for this common saying, "Under killing Albert, the nobility perish," or "Za króla brachta, wyginęła szlachta." Although this statement was quite overblown, as it definitely wasn't all of the nobility, and it also wasn't such a great loss that Poland couldn't recover from. And again, something happened here. Sorry, I have to fix this quickly, and alright. And following the invasion, Bohemia capitalized, and forced John the Albert to give back the Duchy of Głogów, which he previously gained. For the next year, John I began partying and feasting, but when a Tatar raid came in for 1498, he pulled himself together and organized a defense against that. He would also form a new alliance with France and Hungary, which on paper was against the Ottomans, but also secretly against the Habsburgs. In 1500, Maximilian I Habsburg started supporting the Teutonic Order in regaining the lands lost in the 13 Years' War, which was now known as Royal Prussia. So the regions of Warmia, Haumno, and Pomerelia. This also strengthened the Grand Master's position, and he refused to pay tribute to John I, which led John to concentrate troops in the spring of 1501 for a possible invasion of Prussia. However, it would never come to pass, as he died on June 17, 1501 in Thorn, or Toruń in Polish, so right outside of Prussia. And I'll quickly go to the tier list, and then I'll start talking about John I Sobieski. Oh, here we go. Sorry. And we have John I Sobieski in high B tier. Oh, right, sorry, we are discussing John I Albrecht at the moment. So as you can see here, John I Albrecht was in B tier when I put him, although that's definitely quite high. I would probably put him somewhere around low C tier, high C tier right now. Probably above Mieszko I Lambert. Although he could also be a B tier, especially since I also put Mieszko I the Old here. Yeah, this seems like a decent enough position. So overall, he differed quite a bit from other Jagiellonian monarchs, which were mostly concentrated on culture or diplomacy, and administration, while he was more focused on the military. Actually, a sort of reverse situation to the Piast dynasty, which was mostly focused on, especially and I'm mostly referring to the early Piast dynasty when mentioning this, since most of it was concentrated on warfare, and only a few rulers on diplomacy, such as Władysław I Herman here. So overall, he definitely had a too short rule to rank him, but especially before he came to the throne, he had a quite promising career ahead of him, holding his own decently well at the Battle of Prešov, as well as winning at the Battle of Kobystrzyca. was Kopystrzyca, right? Yeah. Oh, sorry, Kopystrzyń. And also the fact that his older brother Władysław basically kept putting putting for he kept ruining his plans, such as the Moldavian campaign, since he was partially responsible for the disaster. He was partially responsible for the retreat and also the whole conflict over Hungary. An interesting scenario would be if Poland eventually formed a Polish Lithuania, a Polish-Hungarian Bohemian union, with maybe even Lithuania joining in after the death of Alexander I, depending whether it goes to Sigismund I or Władysław. That could form a united Jagiellonian realm. An interesting scenario, and when I eventually get to Jagiellonian Poland all endings, I might do it, but that won't be soon enough, considering I still haven't posted early PS Poland all endings. But I probably will till the end of June, since I've got most of the maps and all I need to do is finishing the voice recording and editing. And wait a second, I'm just going to mute myself for a second. Alright, I'm back. So now on to John I Sobieski, but first I'll quickly brief over the rule of Michael I, or Michał Korybut-Wiśniowiecki, who ruled from 1669 to 1673, so that will be useful in understanding the later rule of John I Sobieski. Michael I was mostly elected on the back of his father Jeremy Wiśniewski's military accomplishments, and due to the fact that following the disastrous rule of the Vasa dynasty, the nobility desired what they called a Piast king, or Król Piasta in Polish. He was basically a Polish noble on the throne, wanting to return back to something akin to the first Piast dynasty. And most of his reign was spent dealing with the situation in Ukraine following the Second Northern War and the Khmelnytsky uprising. Notably with the Polish Cossack-Tatar War, which eventually Turkish War, but of 1672 to 1676. During this war, the hetman of the Zaporizhian host, Petro Doroshenko, once again tried to break the region away from uh, Poland and Russia, and instead establish it as an Ottoman vassal, much like Wallachia, the other Danubian principalities, or the Crimean Khanate. Wait, sorry, I think my voice is getting a bit raspy. I'll be back in a minute. Alright, I'm back. So for the first few years, especially during the Polish-Cossack-Tatar War, these attempts were unsuccessful, as the Cossack Tatar forces were defeated in battles such as at Podhaica. This changed with Ottoman entry in the war, such as the Battle of Ladyschine in 1672, which ended in a Pyrrhic victory for the Polish Cossack army, which faced more losses. It's also notable it's also worth mentioning that part of the Cossacks, led by Hetman Mikhailo Khanenko, still stay loyal to Poland, and is soon after these early engagements, a 120,000 strong Ottoman army entered Poland and began sieging Kamieniec Podolski, or Kamenec, which is also known as Kamenec, capturing the city after only 2 weeks. And despite the Polish army having a few victories under John I Sobieski, where he led an army of only 2.5 thousand against a 20,000 strong Crimean Tatar, against over 20,000 strong Crimean Tatar armies. I'll just quickly check how this was exactly called. Since I don't remember the English name. Oh, here we go. It was John I Sobieski's expedition against the Tatar Chambols. Yeah, where he was able to defeat an army almost 10,000. Sorry, 10 times his size. So, basically 3,000 against 20,000 in the region of the Dniester. However, the Ottoman army was still too large to deal with, since it was over 120,000 strong, forcing Poland to sign the humiliating, although unratified, Treaty of Bucharest. As a result of the treaty, Poland lost large swaths of territories in modern Ukraine, including the Zaporizhian Host, as well as Podole and some other regions, most notably Kamieniec Podolski. Although the treaty was never ratified by the Senate, the war would soon resume, with John I Sobieski achieving a major victory at the Second Battle of Houghton on November 11th, 1673, which was also a day after Michael I's death. I'll also talk a bit about his rule, the second after John I Sobieski. So, as I already alluded to at the beginning of the stream, today is the 529th year anniversary of John I Sobieski's. Right, I forgot to change this. Of John I Sobieski's passing. So let's start off chronologically. So as mentioned, he won the Second Battle of Houghton, where his 30,000 strong army faced off with a 35,000, with that of 35,000 strong Ottoman one, and it ultimately ended with 20 to 30,000 Ottoman soldiers killed, captured or wounded. Oh, right, sorry. He also won a couple other victories, which ultimately resulted in the much lighter Treaty of Żurawno, where his opponents still lost some territories, but definitely stopped, but was freed from the tributary status and regained some of the border territories, but notably not Kamenets. However, soon he would also engage in the Great Turkish War from 1683 to 1699, leading the famous cavalry charge at Vienna with the Winged Hussars. He would also win a couple of other battles, such as in Moldavia, with the Polish army occupying most of the region by the end of the war. And although this is not exactly related to John I Sobieski, I think it's worth mentioning that Poland also had another major victory during this time, that being the Battle of Chodów, or also known as Polish Thermopylae. Yes, I know some of you might know about the Battle of Wisna, but there are several Polish Thermopylae, where a Polish army of 400 faced off against a 40,000 strong Crimean Tatar army. And they didn't exactly win decisively, but they were able to defend themselves enough that the Tatars eventually gave up on it, since they started facing mounting casualties, and it wasn't worth the trouble, since all they were trying is just to siege, to raid the region, and not occupy any territory. However, it was later used politically as a major PR victory. Alright, so now finally going back to John I Sobieski here. He was also a patron of culture, building many new structures and funding various works, with one of the most notable examples being Wilanów Palace in Warsaw, which was styled after Versailles, partially because of the fact that he had a French wife. He station named after him, that being Scutum Sobiescanum, and that's because of all the financial support he gave to the astronomer Johannes Hevelius. And he would pass away after 23 years of rule on June 17th, 1696, at the newly built Villa of Paris in Warsaw. So now going back to the tier list, we'll check both rulers. So as you can see here, Michał Korbut-Wiśniewiecki, or Michael I, is in D tier. To be fair, I should have... Never mind, it's good enough. That's mostly because, well, he didn't do anything terrible. He was very unremarkable, even by contemporary standards, calling him quite plain. But he was definitely better than some of the worst rulers of the Commonwealth, such as Augustus II the Strong or Augustus III, the first veteran, in Poland known as Sas. Now on to John III Sobieski. So I put him in high B tier, right below Wacław II, although that might have been cutting it a bit short. Maybe I'll put it, if I were to rank him now, it might be somewhere in this high tier, and these four could honestly be flipped around a bit. As could this tier and some other placements, but anyway, so John I Sobieski was a great general and patron of the arts. However, he wasn't the best in administration nor diplomacy, since he also signed the unlike Russo-Polish Treaty, also known as the Treaty of Perpetual Peace, which was very disliked in the Commonwealth at the time, and took over a century, around a century, to ultimately get ratified. Since Poland gave up on any claims on its ears, as well as Kiev, which it was originally supposed to regain after a few years of Russian occupation. I'll be back in a second. Alright, I'm back. Oh, and I also see that 4 people are watching the stream. Welcome, everyone. So where were we? Oh right, John the First Sobieski. Do I have anything more to add to him? Probably not. Oh, maybe that he's probably the one of, if not the most famous Polish kings, due to being the one which gave him throughout all of Europe, being hailed as its savior. And also two interesting stories, tidbits if you will. Once when John the First Sobieski met with the Holy Roman Emperor, they were supposed to put down their hats as a sign of respect, and both waited around until the other makes a move, since they didn't want to be viewed as the lesser. And at one point, John the Third started putting his head up, so the Austrian Empire, the whole. So Leopold the Third did the same, but John the Third was actually just fixing up his mustache. So so Leopold the First put down his heart and knelt before John the Third did the same. So that was a bit embarrassing for him. Also another thing. Oh yeah, that the first Austrian cafe, as far as I know, in Vienna, was uh, founded by a Polish person following the battle of uh, following the siege of Vienna. Since when they were pursuing the Austrian army, when they were pursuing the Ottoman army, they stumbled upon their camps, which are full of gold, diamonds, and other riches. At that, there the Polish. I just have to remind him his name. The Polish Jerzy Kulczyński decided to go ahead and choose the coffee beans, since he knew their value, from previous trade businesses he did, which came as which came much to the surprise of most most of the people there. And he founded a cafe in Vienna, which became today's Central Cafe. As far as I recall. I can just quickly check to make sure. Never mind, I'm thinking of another campaign. Sorry, another. There was another cafe. From what I remember, the cafe still exists to this day. I've seen it somewhere. I can't seem to find it at the moment. So maybe let's not dwell on it that much. Oh, or maybe I've got it. Oh, but I don't think it exists anymore. I thought I saw it somewhere, but maybe I'm misremembering things. But it was the Blue Battle Coffee House, and there's even a company today named after it, the Blue Bottle Coffee Company in California, US. And there's even a street named after Kolczyński in Vienna. Alright, but that's enough history for now. So I'm going to start the CK2 campaign, but first maybe I'll give you a bit of something to do. What's this? Oh, maybe do. Wait, can we do open questions? Maybe. There. I'll try this feature since I don't exactly. Wait, what does it do? Never mind. This is a Q&A feature, so maybe not. So maybe I'll just put it at the top of the chat. Who do you consider as Poland's best ruler? Since that, yeah, that gives a bit more options. So write in chat your thoughts. I'm curious to hear them. Alright, so I'll close a few of these tabs so that they don't slow down the gameplay too much. And now on to the game. Originally this one went on till 103, but I restarted since it's more thematically fitting to go with Bolesław, since it's all about him instead of Bezprym, who is one of the most infamous Polish rulers. So let's start the game. So currently we're aiming to get the Duchy of Brandenburg here. And, oh, and we even won the war. Was this by the point? Yeah, since last time he somehow got sick early, so let's try to avoid it this time. Also, I set this up with the mod any place, any time, I think, and I changed a few things to make it more historically accurate. Though there are still a few, although I'm not sure if the Pechenegs reconquered it or if this was like this previously. I also gave Bohemia to the HRE sooner to make the campaign more difficult. And the goals here are to basically achieve Bolesław I for Chrobry's territorial apex by 1025, which include Bohemia here, losses and Gorlitz, and I thought I would get that when I claimed Brandenburg, but it turns out I just gained the core regions of the duchy, not the whole one. So just these two provinces. Anyway, without further ado, let's get right into the campaign. So as you see here, we've defeated the armies of the Holy Roman Empire under Otto the Third. But that gets me thinking: could we maybe pursue them and give them a more decisive defeat? Let's pursue them to Mainz, and now to Baden. Alright. Now we're at the Battle of Baden. Dear King Bolesław of Poland, we are having some trouble with one of your petty nobles who acts. His behavior being unacceptable would be quite an understatement, and I will have to take action soon. He was our ally, right? Let's see here. Yeah, he was our ally, so it's best not to... Oh yeah, we also get yeah, that's not to make it worse. I was accidentally looking at the wrong option. Also take a break in a moment since it's getting quite dark out and I have to put down the curtains. I mean roll down the curtains, sorry. And here we have a vassal, and we can try to obligate them. Alright, then he was reminded of his duties and promises not to conspire against us. Now let's quickly look at France, and here we have France. Can we reform our alliance with them? Doesn't seem like it at the moment. Rehaz is currently betrothed to Basileus Basil II. Alright. Wait. Did we lose? Oh, maybe France left the war, so we no longer have 100%. Anyway, we'll have to quickly go for Bohemia, maybe, since this might be our chance. Considering that they're currently rebelling against the Holy Roman Empire. We'll also... Alright, we can put Światosława here under the care of the Duke of Mazovia. Alright, we took Meissen. Now we can also take... Which city was that? Dochna. And now... Also... Oh, now we took Meissen. That was Dresden, alright. And we have 100%. Do we have any prisoners beforehand? Yeah, it doesn't seem like we have all that many. Alright, so now we can finish the war, but we only get 2 provinces since. As I misunderstood what we are aiming for. Oh, and one of our subjects has converted to Catholicism, and we also need a new steward since Jacek here has become incapable. So recruit one maybe. Invite and right here. He's also a loyalist, which will help us in some policies. Let's see, what else do we have here? Doesn't seem like all that much. President Bolesław I for trying then to claim the Duchy of Lesser Poland. Though I don't think we really need to do that at the moment. We can also try to go against the Holy Roman Revolt. What could we get here? What could we get here? All these singular provinces. All these singular provinces. So let's see. Maybe we can get the claim on Bohemia. Pope would accept that. How about Moravia? Also though. Wait a second. Oh, and I'm also... Yeah, I am muted. Alright, so... Oh, we can also invest in the technology. So let's go for... military organization. Let's see, can we maybe get someone with a claim on the region here? No, both of them are dukes. Same goes for Bohemia. Could we maybe turn our focus towards Pomerania, or do we still need more prestige for that? We need 1,000 prestige. Can we do anything at the moment? Wait. Sorry, I have to mute myself again. Alright, I'm back. Sorry, my nose is getting a bit stuffy, so and I think my voice is getting a bit raspy, so that's why I'm taking breaks in once every while. Alright, we have an alliance with Hungary at the moment. Oh, maybe we can try and convert Prussia. Never mind, we did that recently. Well, if Władysław also had a claim, also did a few, did have some alliances in Jotvingia and Lithuania, so maybe we can send one, an missionary expedition there to try to see how it'll do. And it seems that Bishop Jerzy was accepted by Chief Nicholas. And it also seems like King Orvar has usurped the chiefdom of Ares from Arnbjorn. I'm not exactly sure where that chieftain is. Oh, this here county, alright. This isn't... these are just normal pop-ups. I'm also going to attempt... Wait, beforehand I'm just going to replace Duke Modlibok of Mazovia with Włodzimierz of Kiev, since he's a much better diplomat, and have him try and get us a claim on the Duchy of Nitra. And do we have an alliance with Vladimir the Great? Yes, we do. He has an army of 2.5 thousand. And how is... Oh, and seems like we would have to join him. Alright then. Alright, I just remembered something. We can go here and join one of the societies. Alright, are any of these military? Let's see. Now, all this does is... Oh, this mostly concentrate on learning. We aren't too learning focused, so we're going to leave this actually. And it seems like the Kievan Rose is doing fine by themselves. Oh, and the chiefdom of Lithuania here is expanding. The King Bo, the evil of Western Gotland, is also planning to invade us in 1102. Young Besprom is very easily satisfied and obviously lacking in ambition. So do you want him to become more charitable or content? Content is not a good trait to have, so you can have him be charitable. Well, Mieszko wants to learn how to whistle. After trying for a while, he asked me, how come you can do it? So we can change him from timid to brooding. Yeah, sure. Mieszko seems a bit frustrated by his failed attempts. He doesn't seem to respond well to my encouraging words. Wait, let me check. Can we do maybe a war against the chieftain of Randa? Can do a holy war for Abodritia, although that isn't a good idea at the moment. Yeah, especially since it's just one province. Could also do it through a border dispute. Forced vassalization. Oh, that makes us lose 1,000 prestige, right? I can't stop thinking of all those prisoners in my dungeon. They are at my complete mercy. What a thrill it would be to hurt them, to hear the sweet screams, to see the panic in their eyes. I will resist those impulses. And let's see, can we maybe pass some sort of new... No, we can... Oh, and we also have a free position for court chaplain, so I'm guessing... Jotvingia did imprison him after all. Maybe not, since we can still send someone there. Let's try it one more time. No, he was imprisoned. In that case, let's send him to Sandomierz, and we might try and go for a counter invasion here. Maybe to establish a oh, we don't have a large enough majesty level. Meanwhile, wait. Decent. We can also call in a few of our allies, not all of them, but maybe Hungary to the war, and gather our forces in Gostynin. And Hungary will come to our aid. Also check here. Does anyone have a claim on the Duchy of Red Ruthenia? No. Same goes for this region. Duchy of Nitra. Yes, but no one would be willing to accept a possible invitation to court. They're all Tangarists. Oh, and the King of England went to war with the King of Scotland. Aren't they both our allies? No, but we could theoretically form an alliance with the King of Scotland, since I think we have someone who is betrothed to someone from the region. Not sure exactly. Oh. Let's see. Oh, it's our half-brother. Gudzelin Ludolfinger. He seems to be a daughter of Dubravka before Bolesław. Anyway, our armies have all gathered in Gostinian, and oh, never mind, we still are lacking a few troops, and let's go to Płock. A most peculiar woman has arrived at our court. In only a matter of months, she has made a name for herself as a most accomplished warrior. You have even seen her defeat some of your best champions in the sparring ring. Maybe she could teach you a thing or two. I'm not sure if I'm the case. Since the last time I accepted this, Bolesław became sick soon after. Probably doesn't have anything to do, but I think I am going to accept it since she is oh, never mind, we actually have a marshal of equal contacts that really need her. We are able to defeat the Jotvingian army at Łomża. Next up we're going to move to Helmno and attack the Zemigalian army. Oh, and Hungary is already besieging Grodno, so we'll go to Stovia. Never mind. Oh, they're just joining us. They are going when I suddenly hear an embarrassed huff from nearby. My mace ready. I see the enemy commander, Narimantas, awkwardly attempting to climb a large rock. I think he's trying to escape the battle, my lord, the soldier next to me muses. There you are. I have been itching for a fight. Especially since we're a lot better in prowess. 2 on the plains. My mole is ugly but effective, and around us the onlookers heard their breath. I moved gracefully and struck once. I did not need to strike again. Once the duel was over, I mopped the sweat off my brow. Does anything... we can let them be. During the Battle of Sedovia, the enemy cornered my commander. Oh, so that's why we have a new spot open for the visor. We can give it to... I guess we can do it for the Duke of Pomerania. Cornered my commander, Prince Władysław of Poland, who was cut down with ease. The symbols of high rank on his uniform apparently were unnoticed until a soldier stumbled over his corpse. And oh. I should have read this beforehand. So now we've become bitter rivals with Narimantas, since he's the one who murdered Władysław. Maybe you can try a bit of role-playing and try to go on a revenge mission against him. Alright, we finished sieging Stovia, and now we're going to attack their army at... Your wife, Queen Emnilda, has sent you a gift. It is a small putty, but one of the finest pedigree, and destined to grow into a great hunting dog. And yeah, we'll appreciate it, especially since this gives us health modifiers. So what will we call it? We can call him Faithful, why not? And young Besprim has finished his education. With a complete lack of guidance, he tried his best to study, unfortunately to no avail. Alright, this LTO seems to be working. So he's become a naive appeaser. The young Besprim seems to have a charm and way with words. So... good. Alright, we can let him do that. And Hungary is requesting us to fulfill the marriage. Although we will hold off it since, as you know, Hungary is unfortunately one of our objectives in this campaign. With especially the Duchy of Nitra. And have we maybe taken... Alright, we haven't taken them prisoner. Let's go ahead and finish off their army here. And we've also converted Sandomierz, so let's send him somewhere else to Lublin, I guess. And 5 people are watching. Welcome to the stream, everyone. I guess we can... wait, unless we can win a few battles here. But beforehand we've got an event. Your dog is growing quickly and is no longer and your dog handler's praise is good care there. So we get a bit of prestige for that. Alright, so we've won the war and gained 200 prestige. Oh, okay then. We'll accept. And now we have a tributary state. So a bit historically accurate since they were the Jotwingin tribes of Slav. Now let's see this. Gniew of Szwale has come to you with a suggestion. My lord, it is my opinion that Mszczujow Zielona Góra would make an excellent military commander. I suggest we make use of his talents for the good of the realm. Very well. Let's see, how good is he? Yeah, he's quite good. 16. So that's comparable to our other commanders, so we'll make him so we'll also add him to our ranks. And now since we also have 1,000, we can also probably force vassalization over one of these. I think we'll start off with the Duchy of Bohemia. Maybe recover a bit from this war since we were a bit devastated. Oh, and our new vassal in Chief Przybysław I, currently fighting to gain Wołogoszcz. And I can't stop thinking of all those prisoners in my dungeon. They are at my complete mercy. Okay, so this event again. Let's resist our impulses. Now we have the Chief of Lublin here. We can't currently revoke land. Maybe we can add load centralization. Let's see how many people support that. And we passed it easily. Okay, so now we have to fight Pinsky and Yotvingian subjugation war. Okay, this wasn't probably the best idea. Alright, so let's agree. My wife Emnield has been letting herself go as of late. What was once a grateful and delicate woman has become an undignified, hefty glutton, only excited about her next feast. Alright, we can warn her politely. And it seems like she listened to our advice. Let's concentrate our forces in Gostinian again. Okay, let's go here. Now to take... Oh, never mind.